to manage me
Yes.
like 12 years ago. Maybe.
Yeah.
Now you're an agent.
I'm back being an agent. Yeah. They're great businesses. I mean, they really are. They're great.
I'm telling
It's
you.
great sectors of business. And, it's.
When I was going to move to Nashville, my dad said to me, "Oh, please just don't marry a cowboy." And I said to him, "Would you rather me marry a Democrat?" And he said, welcome back to another episode of Next to Madison. I'm your host, Madison Malloy. And on today's episode, I have a super fun guest in studio with me. We've got Scott Kaufman. He is an agent. He was a former manager, worked with speakers. He's actually worked with me. He is a fucking rock star. I am so excited. We cover everything. We talk about the book world, the sports world. We talk about how we both should have been plumbers instead of agents and podcasters. We cover it all. This is an interview you don't want to miss. Life advice, good advice, just all around fun. So we'll see you right back after this brief message on this episode of Next to Madison. Yeah, fuck it. We'll go with that. See you in a sec. Welcome to Next to Madison, a podcast to help you live your best life. All right, we are back with our amazing guest. We've got talent agent to the stars, Scott Kaufman, in the studio. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've known you for years.
Long time.
You used to manage me like 12 years ago. Maybe.
Yeah. The 10, 11, around there, something like that. Yeah.
So you were a talent manager and then you left and you went to go represent speakers.
I did.
And then now you're back. Now you're an agent.
I'm back being an agent. Yeah.
So tell us about what made you want to get into this? How's it dealing with the stars? Because you represent some pretty cool people.
Yeah, I have. I've represented, folks of all different walks of life and levels of talent and, really just, right. I think it's fascinating being in this business because you get to work with, very talented people like yourself, right? How did I get it? I wanted to be a producer. When I was in college, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. I was a communications major, and I graduated from college, and it's funny, that's actually 20 years ago in May. Be 20 years since I graduated, and back then, it wasn't so, not that it's easy to get a job now, it's not, but you actually, a lot of times you would have to work for free. You would graduate from college. Because back then they didn't pay interns. Internships were not paid. Now they are.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get I had a couple interviews and it was, well, you may have to work for free. You may have to work for free. So I'm like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I went, I don't think it was ego. I think it was like you graduated from college. The next, logical step is you get a job, right? We all had jobs in college, but now you could actually make a living. So I went into radio ad sales, and a lot of people have heard the story. And, it was the Long Island Radio Group. I was living at home with my parents on Long Island in Merrick. And, it was a very, it was a very difficult job.
Yeah.
It was very driving all over Long Island, trying to sell radio advertising, getting thrown out, walking into places, getting thrown out, cold calling nonstop, getting hung up on, getting people who could be really, you catch somebody in a bad mood, they really made you feel bad for interrupting even their day for a half a second. But I've always said this, it was the foundation for cold calling and business development, which is what I've carried with me through my career now, right?
Yeah.
So, to make a very long story short, and we could dive back and forth, right? I was sitting at home on a Sunday, I was watching Entourage with my father, and I said, I think I should just go for this. I think I should start working on film sets for free and, just kind of see what I can do. And so I started doing that. I got a part-time job, and it led to a few paid gigs as a producer. And at this point, I'm like 24 and, so you're talking, I was radio ad sales 22, turned 23, and then I was producing a bit, right? So it'd be a lot of freebies, a lot of work on set for free. I mean, you can't even imagine what it's like working on set for free because, and the people you're working, like the director, the demands they're making are as if they're paying you,
Right.
you know, like, and you're working on these films. A lot of them are non-union. I mean, I worked on one short film. We filmed from, I think it was 2 or 3 in the afternoon until 4 o'clock in the morning. It was insane. And it was raining. And I remember the older actress, she was like, this director, it was like 45 takes with her. It was insanity. I remember the guy, the DP, it was just the two of them. It was their film. They wrote the short, was driving us back into the city. He was falling asleep at the wheel.
Oh my
like,
God.
My friend at the time was sitting in the front seat and was like, keeping him like away. He's starting to doze. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. He's driving on like the Jersey Turnpike or what, you know, at like 100 miles per hour to get through, you know what I mean? Like, right. I mean, and I had fallen asleep in the back seat. I had no idea what was, what was, what was going on. So like, that's what you're doing, so it was insane. So again, get some paid jobs here, get some free, doing a lot of free work. And I got to the point where I said, okay, I got to make some money. And then somebody said to me, you'd be a great agent. And that was it. I just started applying. And my first agenting job was actually right down the street, 247 West 38th Street, between 7th and 8th.
What company was that?
It's Colstein Talent Agency. It's no longer around anymore, but Naomi Colstein, who's still a very dear friend of mine to this day, it was her company. And, she really gave me a shot. It was really nice. I went from being like an intern, and 6 weeks later, I was an agent. It was pretty cool. But very small company. So it was,
But that's amazing though. You got your start, but now you're kind of heading up the publishing division over at your
I mean, we just brought on a new colleague, and we're kind of both working together to continue to build it. Yeah, absolutely.
But you've also worked with a lot of reality stars.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, can you mention some of those?
I'd rather not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's like, but
he represents Jeff Bezos. I'm just kidding. He doesn't. He doesn't.
I wish.
I wish, right? Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I don't think he needs any advisement or guidance from me, but
yeah.
It's not that. It's just I because it's some of the clients are still active, other clients I don't rep anymore, I mean, I don't,
there's a lot of like transition.
Yeah, and it happens. I mean, people move on, and
of course,
want to change, right? So.
Yeah. And so how do you feel like, especially post-pandemic, that the whole entertainment industry has really changed? Because it is like, it's almost taken a 180, if you think about it, right? Like you had the rise of TikTok, which really took off during COVID. Right. And you've got all these new stars now. People aren't looking for Hollywood. They're going to these influencers. They're going to the YouTubes where people basically can produce their own content.
Right.
So things have changed.
Yeah. I mean, being able to create your own content has been, really allowed very talented individuals to, launch careers for themselves and make livings, doing this. I think the challenge is at times anyone can do it, right? So sometimes there's like, there's an oversaturation, but I mean, how has it changed? I mean, look, you have a lot of things. Technology changes. You have AI now, again, you have consolidation, you have companies, that were separate now becoming one. So there's, a lot of people and a lot of folks too have, they've course corrected in their lives, and they've gone on to different industries and, made changes for themselves. So it's not all the same folks that you may have been used to working with for a long time, right? They go on, they try different things, So
you worked in where you were representing a lot of kind of executive producers on the reality television unscripted side. Mm-hmm. And if somebody has an idea, how difficult is it to actually get it to a network to be seen and absolutely considered?
Are you talking if you as the creator, how difficult it is for you, or how difficult it is if you have a representative?
Both.
I mean, as a creator, it's very difficult because a lot of times they're not going to take unsolicited submissions.
Right, because the legalities behind it.
Yeah, that's right, 1,000%. I mean, people have they're better off if you could build relationships as an individual content creator. If you don't have a rep with production companies, producers, that's always very helpful.
Yeah.
As if you have representation, I think the representative, probably has an easier path to getting it in front of that executive, setting up a meeting. But, it's still difficult. I mean, it's still hard. It's still hard to make, to sell a project. It's still hard to, get things off the ground. It's still hard to, like we know a lot of some of the great producers and production companies and, like Bobby and, who's the best at what he does. And I it's right. Some shows you sell like that. Others takes forever and others just don't for whatever reason. You can't get it over the goal line. Who knows?
Yeah. No, but it's so interesting how you used to just kind of have your main networks and then some cable networks. And then now you have all these streamers and it just, you would think that it would be easier because there's so many platforms now to put these things out on, but it really hasn't become easy.
It's interesting because you're right. It should, right, by just the process of, okay, you have so many, but every one of those platforms is competing against each other to have the highest streamed, or downloaded content, and you have to be really selective. And, they have budgets, and even though some have massive budgets, others have it varies and it ranges, but it's become much more competitive because everyone's striving to be the best, so it's, and I don't think it wasn't that way before. I think it's always been difficult, but I just think it's become more difficult because especially streamers that are, and it's smart, they're licensing libraries of content.
Yeah.
So they have content, right? You'll see that, right? They'll get the rights to this show or that show, and then the original programming side, they're being selective. They want to, they want to greenlight things that they think could be a hit, that they can find that ROI, that they can, that can go on for multiple seasons. And I think that's tough. I think it's very hard to find, what the next hit's going to be,
Yeah. And do you ever feel that like a project comes across your desk and you're like, this is it, and it just obviously gets rejected, or things that you didn't think would hit and they hit? I mean, I always heard this thing in Hollywood and I never forgot it. Nobody gets fired for saying no.
Well, that's why a lot of times it's, a soft, it's a soft yes, right? They don't really it's not a commitment. That's true. I mean, you got to be very, especially in the landscape in the market, you got to, really walk that fine line of what you say yes to.
Yeah, because, well, absolutely.
I mean, one of the major network shows that lasted for a long time and was hugely successful, the pilot was incredibly expensive.
Okay.
The person running the network who greenlit the pilot, I think, got fired after he greenlit it. And then that show went on to massive success. So, I mean, I can't remember which, but, the point being is that it's, to your point. Yeah. I mean, no one gets fired usually not for saying no, but you say yes. I'm sure there's a lot of sleepless nights till that, that hits the screens and you get those, analytics in.
Yeah. It's like the new gold is attention.
Yeah, probably.
That's everyone's competing for, whether it's on TikTok, on YouTube, across all these networks.
Because you could get content anywhere. Remember,
it's an overload.
You have a younger age demographic that's used to content on, devices that are this big.
And the younger ones don't want to turn on the TV. Really.
No, not
they're
necessarily.
They're going to YouTube.
Yeah, it's like, the Sopranos was my favorite show of all time.
Yeah.
Like that saw a resurgence during the pandemic because people were like, well, what's this? They had no idea, prior to what it was except when they're sitting home, it's like, hey, we should watch this. So I what I loved about that, it was funny, also it's the attention span to your point of, I got to watch it all now. And what I loved about when we were, growing up, like a show like The Sopranos, is you had to wait till next Sunday.
Yeah.
Like you had to wait. Like you had to, there were times in between, again, it's my favorite show of all time. There were times I watched it from the time it premiered in 99 through rewatch it. I own all the seasons, but there were times, if you remember, like between season 4 and 5, there was like 2 years. And then between season 5 and 6, there was 2 years, like from when they premiered, when they came back, you know?
Wow.
So yeah, I remember, seeing a story in the Post or seeing, I remember like one of the stars was like in the post office in New Jersey or something. And everyone's like, you know, they're looking at him. He's like, I don't know when The Sopranos is coming back. I don't know what the plot's going to be. I mean, but that's how it was, right? Now it's this, well, but it's also like it was, right? It was the water cooler talk, right? Or like the, you know, the college class talk or whatever, because you know, you all were experiencing it at the same time most of the time, right? Now, I mean, how often do you talk to somebody like, did you see the show? You're like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. You didn't even know about the show.
Yeah. Paramount's a little like that, except for like once it comes out, then it's there, right? But like Landman's my favorite.
Yeah.
Like I love that freaking show.
I got to get, I believe it or not, we don't have Paramount Plus, but I watched
it's
like
worth
three
the $7.99.
I watched I watched 3 episodes that were available. It was very good. Yeah,
it's just I think it's amazing because like I grew up in Colorado, which is very like heavy in oil and gas, and then we had some friends from high school that went off to do that freaking job. It paid real well. Trust me, they were making more than people that went to Harvard, went off to Wall Street.
Oh yeah,
but their lives were at risk. And I remember I had a cousin that went up. I think he was up in one of the Dakotas, I think, on one of the rigs. And you're on for 3 weeks, and then you're off for 3 weeks. But he was making more money than he said, I don't even know what to do with all this money. But it was such a tough lifestyle. He just couldn't keep doing it. And then I have another friend who got lucky and ended up on a rig in the Gulf of America. 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, would come back. And he's my age and fully retired with 7 homes around the country. So, you know, but their lives were constantly at risk. So I had this fascination with it. And plus, like, Allie Larder's hot, Rudolph Randolph, whatever, she's hot. So it helps to have hot women. As a straight woman, I'm saying this. Hot women in the show is key. Very key.
Well, I think,
you're like, I'm not touching that one.
Well, I think it's, I agree with you. I think it's 3 episodes. So you're right. It's very dangerous, but you know, look, I mean, it's like the risk versus reward, right? I mean, your friend is, you know, in his early 40s and he's retired and he has 7 homes and he can do whatever the hell he wants, right? So
I'm like, God, I should have done that. Right? What was I thinking?
I mean, I don't know. Look, it's not for everyone. And you're not, depending on your background and your family and, you're not thinking that way, right? Mm-hmm. We're trained because I think we're the same age.
Yeah, we're around the same age.
We were trained to go to college and, get a degree, and that's going to, now you have, look at all the jobs look at like HVAC, look at landscape.
They're making all the money.
I mean, if you can, when I've had younger folks ask me what to go into, I've said, go into the businesses, the trade businesses, HVAC and electricians and carpenters and, plumbers, I mean, and landscape. I mean, and if you could figure out in some of those businesses how to incorporate the new technologies, I mean, the sky's the limit.
I know.
I mean, those are incredible businesses, and less
likely to be taken by AI.
There's no way you're not gonna, I mean, how can you have, you can't, I mean, how can you have AI? I'm serious. How could AI, what are you going to do? You're going to program the machine to tell it like, you got to fix this pipe or you got to do this.
Yeah, I know you need
It doesn't, I don't see it at all.
Like I've told my nieces, I said, their parents work in finance and I'm like, finance is great, but honestly, I would skip the college, go to trade school.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Take the money that your parents are going to pay for college and tell them to buy you put a down payment on a home or invest it in the market. But that's just kind of the way that things.
I mean, I think you're thinking very smart about that. I do. Yeah. I think that,
Did you ever think like it would ever come to this? Right? Like everyone went to college. If you didn't go to college, that was like a weird thing.
No, I didn't know. I hardly knew anyone that didn't go to college.
Yeah.
I mean that. All the friends I have from all different walks of life and all different neighborhoods and areas and, wherever in the New York City area, there was like hardly any, even people who they went to community college. Like I didn't know many people that didn't go to college.
Yeah.
In one way, shape, or form, right?
But
You
now
know?
it's like coming out with like the cost and it hasn't kept
mean,
up with everything. It's just, it's not worth it.
I mean, it's a massive cost. I mean,
Oh my
think
God.
about how much, I mean, some of these schools, right? It's like 50,000, 60,000 a year.
That's
I mean,
on the low end.
I mean, to your point, if you put 10% down on a house, it's a $500,000 house right there. If you take 2 years of college, and then you're right, it's on the low end because you're not counting other costs. You're not, I mean, so, but if you, to your point, Madison, if like, you know, you take 10% down, 120,000, that's a $1.2 million house you're buying.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, put it in the market. You're right. Yeah. So I think those jobs are, that's going to keep growing, and the amount, and it's a different type of stress, right? Like it's more the physical than the, you know, you're not, I don't think they're living and dying by their phones or by their emails, you know? I mean, I'll tell you, like HVAC, it's, you know, you know, here in the city, obviously it's, you know, we have people in our building, but, you know, my wife and I have a home out east, and if you don't get on the schedule, like, it's like, you know, they're calling you in March to schedule for June. I mean, that's how, so, yeah.
I know. It's a couple of my friends back home got married to men that never went to college,
Right.
became electricians, went to trade school, ended up owning the electrician company.
Right.
Let me tell you something. They're the only people I know that actually own Ferraris. So they're doing just fine.
Yeah, no.
Massive homes. I was like, damn. But no, I mean, but if you're not going to be an electrician, you should definitely be an agent. Right?
It's an interesting.
You're sitting there going,
I know. I'm trying to think. You got me thinking now. Like maybe I should. Right? You know, I mean, I'm the least handy person you'll ever meet. But
listen, we should do a reality show together where it's like, you know what? We're in our 40s.
Yeah.
We decided, you know what? We're gonna fuck it. We're going to trade school. You know, and it'd be hilarious.
I mean, even the individuals who don't own the company, they're making. I mean, you know,
yeah.
I mean and somebody doesn't like the work, okay, you know, they'll get somebody else. Like it's, you know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it's, you know,
No, it's so true. Okay, so let's
very interesting you brought that up though. It's a good, I could talk about it for a while because it's really they're great. They're excuse me, they're great businesses. I mean, they really are. They're great.
I'm telling you.
It's great sectors of business, and you know, it's yeah, I mean, but
you know what's funny though is like, I don't think that the New York City or the LA or the Miami gold diggers have caught on to this yet, right? That the plumbers, the HVAC, the blue collar jobs are making the gold. I don't think if you're a plumber, say you make millions of dollars, because they do now, and you go into the Four Seasons and you see one of these little honey pots, that they're going to give you the time of day. So I don't think they've caught on to that. The gold diggers have not caught on to it.
You know what? I think the whole thing, like with the trades, is that it didn't have that, like, you know, like entertainment or Wall Street or law, like that.
It doesn't have a sex appeal.
I don't know. It just doesn't I don't know. It's like, it just doesn't have that, oh, you're a lawyer, oh, you're, you know, but when it comes to it from, you know, a financial perspective or, you know, successful perspective, or, I mean, it's, yeah.
Have you ever seen that meme where the girls are like a girl's in a cowboy hat, and she like puts on a cowboy hat. She's like, cowboys, because no girl ever dreamed about writing an accountant. Nice.
Very nice. Very nice. Nice meme.
Because my dad said when I told him I was going to move to Nashville, my dad's an accountant.
So is my father. My father's a CPA.
Okay, yeah.
So, I think I knew that your dad was an accountant. I think we've
That's why we get along. So I said to when I was going to move to Nashville, my dad said to me, "Oh, please just don't marry a cowboy." And I said to him, "Would you rather me marry a Democrat?" And he said, "Giddy up, motherfucker."
Are you doing a set right now?
No. So I showed him that meme and he was like, "Oh, that's hilarious." I'm like, see, cowboys aren't so bad. Okay, so let's transition into the book area. Because at your agency, you're heading up that publishing book division. So there are a shit ton of books published every year especially because everybody can go on Amazon, KDP, and self-publish.
Right.
You obviously don't. Okay, so there's self-publishing, hybrid, and then traditional.
Right.
You're always suggesting going the traditional route. Can you kind of go into why and how somebody who really wants to get their story out there but can't get a publisher to look at their work or pick up their call, like how do they get out there?
Yeah, I mean, it's that it's tough to get it to publishers because it's unsolicited and they don't take unsolicited, right? I think, if you can get to an agent, that's your best bet. I know that's difficult. It's easier said than done. I think that there's more prestige with going with a publisher, right? There's no question. Okay.
You got better distribution,
Well,
but it's less money.
Distribution market. Well, it is, but if you don't sell any, right? If you don't sell any books and you self-publish, 100% of nothing's still nothing, right?
Right.
It's better off if you're getting that advance and 10%, 12.5%, 15% royalty. And, it's, or, some publishers now do a profit share. It's all, they're the real deal. They just, in lieu of an advance, will do a higher, which is not a bad thing, depending on the author. I think if the challenge with self-publishing is if you don't have the platform to promote it and market it, that's really your biggest, if you have the right following, the right engagement, the right relationships, podcast hosts, whatever it may be, then it's not a bad thing. It's going to cost you money to publish, but it's not a bad thing. So,
right. So because, I've been working on I can't say too much about it, but obviously like a series, book series. You've seen the first one, which I'm very excited about, but it's, I was kind of pushed into going into the hybrid direction. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to pitch this as a series and have like a multi-book series type thing. Cause it's supposed to be a series.
Right.
But it's still hard because it's like you want it to get out there, but it takes so long, and it's just there's a lot of opinions in the bucket,
right?
And you just sometimes don't know. Like, are you waiting too long for the wrong deal? Or are you giving up rights because you go to the traditional? Like, what would your kind of advice be?
I would go the traditional route if you can.
Yeah,
I would try to
especially if it's going to be like a series.
I would try to do it with a great publisher. It doesn't have to be it could be a great indie publisher. I would try to go that route, or try to find the right agent or literary manager, whoever, can submit the book. I think that's always the best way to go about it, in my opinion.
And why do you feel that most publishers turn down so many projects?
I mean, they can only put out so many books a year.
Yeah.
That with their bandwidth, I think they, and it's got to be something they are passionate about. It's got to be something they feel they can market and promote. And, a lot of that onus now is on the author, that what can the author bring to the table in terms of helping to promote and market? Yeah. Which I get. But I think that's probably, it's the bandwidth. It's something marketable. Remember, editors, they have a very difficult job in addition to reading and acquiring, right? And editing and, all the, everything that, kind of being, quarterbacking, what goes right with the book. I mean, if you acquire a few books and they don't make any money, you're going to have a problem. It's going to be, it's going to be difficult, so. So
do you think, a lot of people say there's no money left in the book business? What's your opinion on that?
No, I disagree with that. I think there's plenty of money.
Do you think it's coming back harder?
No, I think advances may not be, so quick to get 6-7 figures, maybe as you're, whatever at one time. But no, I think there's plenty of money there. Yeah. And I don't think the book business is going to go anywhere. They've done a really good job. They kind of navigated, the big transitions when you had audiobooks and ebooks, and they figured out how to make money. So.
Yeah. No, I love I don't like making the audiobooks, but I do love listening to the audiobooks.
Yeah.
Making the audiobook, my first audiobook, oh my God, I thought my eyes, the way it was going with the light, I mean, it's exhausting.
Oh,
for an author. Holy shit.
it's hours upon hours upon days upon days.
My 157 page book, Time to Lighten the Fuck Up, was 9 hours in the studio.
One day or across a few
Multiple days. I could only like take.
Yeah.
And I was also doing it on an iPad, and I should have had like blue light glasses on. I didn't.
Yeah.
The migraine I had after that was just like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
I would say, I think it was more difficult reading the book than writing the book.
I could see that. I've heard that.
It was more
I've
exhausting.
heard it's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're also like, you can't turn, you can't do this. Like
Yeah,
it's a whole.
I've heard that.
But the good news is, like, because that was a fictional, or a nonfiction. This is my first fictional series. So I had somebody test run the audio.
Okay.
Because I'd always heard like fictional writers don't do their own audio. Find somebody that like is really good. And I did. And I thought she was fabulous. So that's all locked and loaded.
Yeah. I mean, that's, it's not easy. It's not easy writing a book. It's not easy doing the audio book. It's not easy selling books.
Life is not easy.
No, life is not easy. And when it comes to business, it's not easy at all,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what would you say to somebody who's been, writing had an idea or been writing a book and just can't get it out there? What would be like your main advice?
I mean,
start a TikTok.
Start a TikTok.
Pretend you're homeless at a book signing. Nobody showed up. That's worked for people.
Has it?
Yes, it has. I thought about doing it myself.
I don't understand. Wait, what have they done?
So it's a true story. So this guy, this older man, wrote a book, like great fictional book, and he sets up a book signing at his local Barnes and Noble or bookstore, and he has all these books. Nobody's there. Nobody knows who the hell he is. So some TikToker happens to scroll in, who knows if it's staged, and was like, I feel so bad. This guy wrote his book. Tell us what your book's about. Nobody showed up. And then, of course, the algorithm went crazy. Boom, blows up overnight. #1 bestseller. It's happened multiple times.
I mean,
it's yeah. I've thought about doing it myself.
Does it happen that easily?
I think it's a lot of luck of the draw. But what's interesting is the people that it's happened to have been old men. People have a real soft spot for an old man that's retired.
I'm not on TikTok, so I don't
Yeah, so you don't know. Yeah.
I could,
But it's always old grandpas. We're like, nobody bought my dad's book. It's so sad. He put his like life into it. I should have my little 11-year-old niece be like, nobody's buying my auntie's books. Please help her.
Nice.
Just
good.
pawn her off. Be like,
That's
listen, I'll give you 10%.
That's
kid.
good. Yeah.
Right?
That's
Please
good.
help my auntie.
I mean, look, I people, it's, what? It's good though. Cause it shows people still have empathy and sympathy, So.
They do. If I see somebody's like, and it costs me $20 to buy a book, like I'm going to, support where I can.
I mean, how could you not? I mean, if somebody really it's terrible, it's not a great feeling.
Like.
No, to somebody puts their heart and soul into it and all this time and
That's
effort.
How I feel about this podcast.
And they look and that's great. Glad I'm on here.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. We're doing great. No.
Yeah. Career builder right here.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You guys.
Anyone who's watching,
keep sharing the podcast.
Yeah.
We need Theo Von numbers. That's what we need.
You're not getting those after this interview, believe me.
Yeah, right.
So, not even close. But I mean, look, I'm with you. I feel we all do. You feel because somebody put it, and then they get the results and they've sold 5 books. I mean, it's terrible.
I mean, I remember when I first got my first round of numbers. Things have changed, but you always thought you did way more, and you're like, what? This is. It was like a dose of just.
Well, it's like when you used to take the tests when you were younger, and you're like, I thought I did much better than that. Yeah. Yeah,
I think you just like.
It's not a great feeling, But
the one thing I will say about the creative space, and I think anything you do, I always say like it's it's the value you add. So I think we're in a culture today where we're so obsessed with views that we forget that if your content impacts two people's lives, that it changes, then you've done your job. And I think that we forget to look past that. You could have saved somebody's life. Even one person made a huge impact versus being like, I didn't get 1 million views. Who gives a fuck? You might have changed somebody's life.
No, I agree with
And
you.
we've got to go back to the value. So even though like when my first book came out, I wasn't some huge famous person. I wasn't selling millions of books, but the feedback I got was how much it helped people. And so now when I do things, especially with the podcast and everything I do, it's like I do it for the value that the gift I can leave the world, right? And that helps me sleep at night.
I mean, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, but I think we've just become so obsessed with the numbers that we forget it's the value. And that's why you just there's a lot of shit content out there too.
Look, if you can, like you said, if you can impact one person, just one.
Yeah. That's what I always say when I make something or I do it.
Well, because you don't really, if you sell millions of I mean, you don't know how many, you might be impacting whenever you put content out there, if you can impact 1 to 1 million or more,
yeah.
I mean, you did a pretty good job if somebody's feeling it, it's when they don't feel it and they say it's crap or it's, negative, then, that's where I think, I think that's where it's difficult, right? That's where I think it's,
then there's the other side too, where, we live in a positive but a negative planet, right? I guess you got two sides of the charge. But like when Mel Robbins' book came out, and then she got accused of plagiarism because somebody else had written a blog or something about the let them theory and what is, and obviously she didn't write that fucking book. I know she didn't. Multiple team members. But she got backlash, sold millions of books, but there was backlash to it. So,
people like to hate and bring people down.
I know.
But
it's usually people that have nothing going on.
I've never understood, unless somebody does something heinous, how you can hate somebody without knowing them, never having had an interaction with them. I don't, unless they say something horrifying or heinous or, or, do something that I don't know how you can, hate somebody who's literally trying to make a living. Doing whatever it is.
Well, it's jealousy. It's just
totally. I mean, jealousy and envy. Look, you live in a world now, right? Where you remember like 20, 25 years ago, you didn't know who was a billionaire unless you read the Forbes list, right?
Yeah.
Now it's everywhere. It's this one who has a net worth of 150 million and this one who's worth 50 million, this one who's worth 2 billion, right? And this one. And remember when it used to be gauche to ask people what they made or you would know what now? I mean, now you have companies, it's full transparency. I mean, you can
I don't think it's good.
I think it's terrible. I mean that. Why do you want to know what the person sitting to your left or right is making? And if they're making more than you, how is that going to make you feel? Seriously.
I agree.
I mean, you're not talking like, okay, you're the, a director level and the CEO is okay, of course, or people are higher. But if you have somebody at the same level as you and you know what I don't want to know what.
Wait, is that really going on now?
Certain companies have that transparency, I've heard. Yeah. That you can know. Yeah.
So if there's like two associates.
I think so. Wow. I don't know but I think so. I've heard.
And then it's like, how the fuck do they justify
what people are making? I mean, it's a world now where we want all transparency, right? But sometimes it's not the best thing. Sometimes it's better off not to know.
I don't want anyone knowing I'm making some CPA.
I don't think it's right. I don't think it's. What good does it do? And here's the thing: if you're a real friend to somebody, you're happy for them. Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen often, right? It breeds jealousy and it breeds envy. That's what it does, right? Excuse me. So it's one of those, to your point, like you get these folks that, people, they get jumped on, they plagiarize, they did this, they did that. jump to conclusions. Nobody really does the research. And then it's, they're trying to bring them down. Why are you trying to bring somebody down that you don't know? What does it matter? And to your point, it's jealousy, it's envy. It's the same thing, you hear the money, people, this one this and this one's that, and they don't deserve it. I mean, who are you to say they don't? Unless you know the person, who are you to say they don't deserve it? So. Well,
yeah, exactly. Well, the Somali daycares. That's another story. I'm just kidding. Sorry, it was relevant in the news. You know what I mean? I'm like, no. But that's a different topic for another day. Okay, but let's go into
another podcast.
Another podcast, exactly, on another network.
Right.
So let's go into sports, because you're doing some stuff with sports and music, right?
I have, yeah.
Okay,
yes.
so what's kind of going on in that space?
So on the music side, it's creating opportunities for clients, really predominantly in the distribution, publishing, administration side. We helped a client launch a record label, which has been going great. On the sports side, we were doing that for a while, where we were creating ancillary opportunities for athletes, right?
Yeah.
So, in our spaces, right? Whether it was unscripted, scripted, film, TV, brand partnership, licensing, author, books, whatever it was. So we were doing that for a while, still are, but we had a pretty cool business a few years ago where we were really, creating these really cool opportunities, off the field opportunities.
Yeah. And so why did you guys kind of gravitate away from that?
I don't think we really gravitated away as much as just, people left. They, right. People leave companies and, you start focusing on different sectors and, you focus on an area that starts taking off and all of a sudden that other area, right. It's kind of like, I don't think we've ever lost our focus. I think we always want to sign incredible athletes and be able to provide those services. But, we had done a few years ago, it was in the media, we had, and I was heavily involved, and we did a joint venture with a great sports agency, and we had a really good run with them for a couple of years where we were creating opportunities for their clients outside of what they did. And, so.
Right.
It was great.
It's amazing though, like how much the sports world's evolved with.
It's incredible.
Creating opportunities for these athletes that have such a short window of time.
I mean, sports is I'm a huge sports fan.
Yeah.
I still play basketball in a league. Out of 12 guys, I'm number 12 on the team, but I enjoy it and I like.
Yeah, you're still out there doing something, which is great.
I mean, I always joke, I watch 3 things on TV: sports, Sopranos, and Seinfeld, I mean, so that's like.
So the only new thing you watch is the sport.
Yeah, pretty much, right? That's the only thing that changes.
No, but it's great about these opportunities. Yeah. But what's so crazy is I remember my buddy owns a golf club out in West Nyack.
Yeah.
And Marky Mark happens to be the whole head of us. And he owns the club. So we go and get to say hi to him. And
that's cool.
He invites us to the not Backstreet Boys, New Kids on the Block.
Wait, was it Mark Wahlberg or Donnie?
Not Donnie, sorry.
It was Donnie? Okay.
So New Kids on the Block was doing their concert. They were playing at the arena in Newark. And he says, you guys got to come to the show. Like, you don't even need tickets. We'll just put you on he's with his manager and his bodyguard. And so we go to the show. I'm like, I guess I can't say no. Right. So we end up going to the show, backstage, everything he promised. We parked right next to the tour bus,
very cool.
Opened it up. We didn't even need.
Where was it? It was here in the city? Or?
No, it was at over in Jersey, PNCR. No, not PNC. The one over in Newark, whatever one it was.
Oh, where the Devils play.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
what is that? Prudential Center. Yeah.
So I start talking to Donnie's bodyguard, who was playing golf earlier that day.
Right.
And we're having a conversation. It comes up that I'm from Denver. And he's like, oh, I used to play for the Broncos.
Nice.
Now, this guy was a professional freaking football player who is now a bodyguard because football didn't pay. He's like, it didn't pay like it does today. My body went through more stress, but it's just the way it's evolved. We didn't have the opportunities. We had such a short window. And if you were injured, and a lot of people were paying for their families. And, most of the guys that we know, they went dead broke. We didn't have the opportunities, but he's like, I'm so happy I am linked up with, Donnie, and I have a great team. But it was amazing to be like, this guy played for the Denver freaking Broncos.
I mean, it's
and is now
It's wild. I mean,
it
when you
changed so much.
well, it's incredible. I mean, the amount of money obviously has changed significantly.
Yeah.
And it's, huge. But I also think, you put fans in the seats, the ticket prices have gotten a lot higher. Concessions are a lot higher, it's so, and that's how things evolve, I mean,
But the fact that they have careers afterwards.
Yeah.
And now they can make money in college,
really,
which they should have been able to.
Oh, I agree. 1,000%. I think that was a huge, because there's a lot of players, incredibly talented athletes in college that they may not go pro, they may not get drafted, and it's great that they can make, they can, based on their great foundation, they can create revenue streams that, could take them into the next part of their life and their career if it's not, the next level of playing ball, I think that's really important. But it's great because a lot of the athletes, look at, look at Alex Rodriguez and Steph Curry and LeBron. They're building, LeBron, and he's got an incredible team, and they built the media empire. Steph Curry's production company is skyrocketing. Alex Rodriguez is, a brilliant entrepreneur and businessman. He started, I think, in real estate, buying up apartment buildings and units, and then expanded from there. And now he owns the Timberwolves. It's pretty. No, does he own? Wait, he owns the Timberwolves, right?
Alex Rodriguez, but I did not.
Yeah, I think he owns the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I believe he does. But he owns basketball and NBA team. So
yeah, it is amazing though. But I think it's great that you guys were helping create more of those opportunities for younger athletes, because they do have such a short window.
Yeah, look, especially certain sports, right? You don't know, you can get hurt. You can, you never know. Yeah. It's like anything else. Sometimes it just, you're at the high in your career, and then it fluctuates. So yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess it's just like anything. I think the whole thing with life is just got to enjoy what you got. Stay humble. Our grades are all the same size, and just do what you got to do.
I think it's hard. I think it's hard for some people to stay humble. Not that doesn't make. I think that when you reach a certain point, and when you have people around you that,
yes, men,
well, telling you, that you're the greatest thing ever and you can do no wrong, and you're getting paid large sums of money for whatever it is you're doing, it can go to your head. It's human nature,
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'm glad my head's still small. Somewhat small.
It's good because it keeps you, you know what I mean? It keeps you grounded, right? It's that's the whole, like, it keeps you in touch, and kind of, I think, allows you at times to, can have a wider network, because, you're not just, it doesn't always have to be about, I have to be at the highest level. I can, I can do business with a variety of folks in different sectors and different levels. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, Scotty, where do people find you? You're the agent at Buckwald, but where else can they find you?
My Instagram handle at skaufman99, LinkedIn.
I love that. So what made you inspired? You've been doing a lot of podcasts lately, and you said, I want to come on yours. I said, absolutely. What inspired you to want to just start going on these podcasts?
Well, I was asked to be on one, and I've been asked to be on a few others, and I like having conversations.
Yeah.
I think that if I can share, to your point, anything that could be helpful or impactful to somebody who's listening, tell a lot of younger folks, it's like, I didn't find financial success till like my late 30s. I really grinded.
It's very normal. Yeah.
From like 22 till I was like, and it all depends on your definition of, what, everyone, it's all relative of what they think is successful. But, I guess I didn't find that, that success till I was like 36, I think 37,
and that's normal. That's still so young too.
It is, but but we live in a world now where I
was depressed because I wasn't a millionaire at 25.
But look at how many people are now, right?
Oh, I know. But here's the thing is, you can't compare yourself to other people.
We all have our path, right?
Yeah.
We're going to follow.
Yeah.
Whether we And then that doesn't mean you can't course correct in your life, right? And you can't change.
Done it many times.
I mean, you and me both. I hear you. But,
Yeah.
You have to be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you've accomplished. Be proud of,
Yeah.
how you treat people, like,
Yeah.
and treat people right. And don't, to compare yourself to other people, you want to be yourself, it's to compare is just, it's never going to work. It's never going to bring you any joy. You're always going to realize, you're not living up to that person. And of course you're not, because you're not them, and the other way around, they
It's so true. And the grass is not always green on the other side.
And it may be, look, I mean, it's a scenario where, they may be more successful than you financially, but you're a better athlete, or you have a better group of friends. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You have a better marriage. You have a better relationship. You have a better relationship with your family. Who the hell knows? Enjoy. Kind of have that tunnel vision. Don't look left or right. Look straight ahead at your own life, your own career.
Yeah.
Support your friends and your family. Help people. Right. And I think that's a great joy. I think, at least, when you can help somebody achieve something, or, I always say, you do somebody a favor, don't expect like they owe you one, right? It's like you loan somebody money. Don't expect it back. And if they give it back to you, consider it a gift. You know what I mean? If you go through life like that, I think, and I don't know much, I haven't been around that long, but you'll be much happier than if it's like, hey, I did you a favor, you owe me one.
Yeah, no.
Don't keep score. If they pay it forward, whether it's to you or someone else, great. And if they don't, don't mistake, I say, don't mistake kindness for weakness, and don't let somebody, take advantage of you. But, don't also go into it with, I'm going to, I helped you with this. You remember, next time I call you, I need a favor, I expect you to
never give to get.
No, because what's the point? I mean, that's all you're doing then is, it's just like, it's just, again, keeping score. And it's like, okay, I did you a favor, you do me one. No, do the favor because you want to help somebody, loan somebody.
Yeah, no strings attached, right?
Loan somebody a couple bucks because they need it and you want to help them, and you can afford to do it. So I agree with you. I think that, we are all individuals. We all have our own, right, individuality. Like, be proud of who you are. And if you're not proud of who you are, try to make changes.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is, comparison is the thief of joy.
That's a good quote. Who said that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, whatever.
I didn't say it, though. I can't take credit for it, but I saw it somewhere.
No, it's a very, I heard a quote, but I put my own spin on it.
Okay.
And it's, in your 20s, try everything.
Mm-hmm.
In your 30s, figure out what you're good at. In your 40s, 50s, and early to mid 60s, make money from what you're good at. And your late 60s to 70s, try not to work too hard,
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to go through life,
Yeah.
Try everything in your 20s. In your 30s, figure out what you're good at.
And I always I think somebody, I shared it. I don't know if you saw it. I shared it on my Instagram stories recently. I think it was that divorce lawyer, James Sexton. I love his videos. But he said that I love so much. He goes, the system designed it to control you, that you're going to live forever.
Right.
So when we think subconsciously, oh, we're going to live forever, we're easier to control. We're stressed about things. We're angry about things. We don't make enough money. We don't have the right clothes. Versus when you realize you're not going to live forever, things change. Right. And so I always tell people, the two things that should always be forefront of your mind is morality, be a good fucking human, and mortality. Any day it could go. Any day.
True.
So I think that those are good. So I just want to remember, I feel like death needs to be more on people's mind, because it's going to happen for all of us. But I think that you would take more chances. You would give without expectation.
Mm-hmm.
All these things you're saying. So,
yeah, I mean, you got to live your life how what makes sense for you. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you got to, you do things that make you happy, but do also things that help make other people happy. I mean, there is a compromise, in life.
I always say when you get to heaven, you're going to get a review of your life. And what do you want that review to look like? Do you want it to be all the drama, all the, giving with expectation? Like, what do you want to see?
I always like to say, not to get morbid, but when it's all said and done, you want people to cry and miss you, or you want them to say, no need, right? No,
Exactly.
I'm not, I'm not celebrating it, but I'm not, shedding any tears either. I mean, that's, how do you want to be?
And we're down here for such a short period.
It goes fast. Look, it goes fast. I mean, look at, you said we know each other now. We do like 12 years when I was
more.
Members of the Friars Club in 2014.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how fast that went. Okay, 12 years ago,
and I thought I was old then. Shit.
Well, you did, but you weren't, right? So I'm turning 42 the end of February. I was 30 years old. I mean, think about that. I mean, I just had turned.
We were old.
Yeah,
I thought I was old.
I had just turned. I joined the Friars Club. I think it was like June of 2014, right?
Yeah.
I turned 30 the end of February of 2014. Like I just turned, I was only 30 a few months, right?
I know.
And now you look at it, I'm turning 42, and I'm not trying to push the time, but
it's only going to get faster.
It always does. Somebody told me that a lifetime ago, that every year you get older, it goes faster and faster.
So stop worrying about the bullshit and live.
Well, think about
a part that I decided to pick up and just go to a new city. I said, now's the time to do it. I got no attachments here. I don't like the cost of living. I don't like what's going on politically. What am I going to do? Sit here and fucking bitch about it? No.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I'm going to change the environment.
You're going to change you like I said, you course correct. You're changing your life a bit. You could always come back.
But yeah, I'm excited. I think, I was getting pulled. I felt like I was God and the universe pulling me, like something was there. And I decided I was going to listen to it and follow it. So I did.
You could always come back.
Exactly.
So what, why?
Nothing to lose.
Try something else. Try something different,
Yeah, I never thought at 43 years old I'd be picking up my life to go to a new city, but shit, why not?
It happens all the time.
I love it. I'm excited.
It's just look, it's interesting. I always think, like Frank Sinatra said, the best is yet to come, right? So you get,
and he also said, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere in New York. So
yeah,
I'm gonna crush it in Nashville.
I mean, listen, I'm sure you will. And I think, look, life's changed a lot, the world's changed a lot, but I think what remains constant is that you just got to keep enjoying every new year and look at new opportunities, and don't look at it like I'm getting older, I'm not going to be able to do this, or I'm not going to be able to do that, or whatever it may be. I think you have to, really embrace it. We're still young in our careers and our lives. You're not.
Amen.
And would I want to go back to my 20s and 30s? I don't know. I don't know about now. I mean, I feel like
you would if you knew what you knew now.
Maybe, but I also feel like my 20s and my 30s, it was a different time. I had you know what I mean? Yeah. It's all relative, right? It's every generation thinks their generation is, right, better than the next, or had more this or that. You can't really judge that. Like, you just can't, because you can say, oh, we didn't have technology. We were more present, right? We didn't have phones back in college or high school. But now look at it. You could say, okay, but the phone has allowed you to get more access to information. The phone allows you, you can do a FaceTime with family or friends, that are on the other side of the world, when, 20 years ago, you couldn't do that. It was only picking up the phone, or, you can reach somebody in different forms of communication, where, again, right, 20 something years ago, even in college, I had the flip phone. It had to be like, in the house I lived in it had to be on one part of the couch, where the only part where I get service. You remember that? Otherwise you didn't get, now it's like you can communicate in different ways. You couldn't do that back then.
I think those days were much better.
I love those days. I'm a big nostalgia person. There's no doubt. I hear what you're saying, but I also think that it constantly evolves, right? And so you can't say, there's certain parts of when we were growing up that were probably better than now, no question. But there are other parts now where, you know what I mean? Like, our memories are only here. Whereas, you know, a lot of younger
Yeah.
folks, they have their memories forever on their phone or on their computer. So think about that,
But
you
I'm
know?
glad because there was a lot of like pictures, like topless pictures, or like making out with chicks to get attention from dudes, or chewing tobacco and spitting on the sidewalk that are on disposable cameras, never to be seen again.
There you go.
Could you imagine my TikTok if I had it when I was there?
There you
God made me an 82 for a very specific reason.
I like how you incorporate, you know, the audience. You should have a laugh track on this thing.
I should.
Yeah. And just like the guest being like,
Exactly.
Yep.
All right. So
It's like the audience, that's our studio audience,
Exactly.
everyone.
S. Kaufman 99.
That's
Find
cool.
him,
You know.
Scott Kaufman, LinkedIn. Thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure. Thank
this
you
was
for having me.
amazing. This was a
Yeah.
fun conversation. I
No,
feel like we
this-
covered it all.
I think so. I'm glad we got to do this too before your move to Nashville. And
Exactly.
have a great move, and I wish you all the best. I think you'll find a lot of success. And like I said, you know, give it time. And if it's for whatever reason not for you, you can always come back, you know?
Exactly.
So
Nothing's set in stone, right? Except death and taxes. All right. Thank you so much, Scott. And thanks to
Thank you.
everybody
Thanks
who's
for
listening, no matter where you're at. We will see you next time to find out who's next.
Hey, your host here, Madison Malloy. Please make sure to subscribe to the show on all podcast platforms, and please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. Also, if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at contact@nexttomadison.com. I thank you again for listening. Bye.